Good morning.
Wherever you want to be, buddy.
It's been a long day. My name is Chris Trudeau. I'm from Boston. I've been here 26 years. And this is Bob Lapis from Austin, Texas. Boston and Austin. Between the two of us, I think we have 46 years. And we're last because even though you sat through everything else today, what we're going to say is the most important.
He's not lying. Okay. He's right.
Donations and their quantity and quality are everything to thrift store. They determine the feasibility of a new store and how big it'll be, and ultimately they determine the profitability of any existing store in this building, in our chain, anywhere. And I challenge anybody to tell me otherwise. With that having been said, I'm going to give it over to Paul, and he'll go through this presentation. And if you have any questions, you can wait till the end. I will preface everything I'm going to say by donations are very cyclical anywhere that you are, but they're even more different regionally. So what works in one area may not work in another area. What you have to do for a rotation in one area may be governed by how many donations you have. So all that taken into consideration, there isn't necessarily a right way to do it, but there's definitely a lot of wrong ways you can do it. So listen and ask a question to any of us afterwards, somewhere else regionally, that if you have a question, it's a lot easier to do it that way than it is to try to answer it in this kind of forum because it goes real wide.
Okay, as Chris said, my name is Paul. I'm from Austin. I've been with the Society for about 19 years. Went from retail background all my life. Went from formal wear to thrift store, so from one extreme to the other. But what we're going to talk about today is donations. It will drive the success of your business, as Chris said. Donations are the lifeline of any successful thrift store. Every single person that's been up here today has said that. We're just going to talk more in depth about donations. We're going to talk today about a number of different ways to collect donations. The first and foremost, as most of you know, is your store drop-off. It's the most fundamental source, as you probably know as well. The store is really the face of the society in your community. It's a public image for the society. There's more people that don't know what you do than that do. The good works that the society does as far as helping our neighbors in need. So it's very important that the image of the society is a good one. Your store, as I said earlier again, appearance is very important. Your donation drop-off area is no exception. Make sure it's clean, it's welcoming, that you have it staffed with some of your best people, the ones that smile the biggest, that thank the most, the ones that are physically able to help unload a donation, those that are also very capable in a nice way of turning down a donation, because a donation that you can't use is a donation that you have to pay to haul off. And again, we're all about funding programs, so the bottom line is very important. We're going to go through these pretty quick because we'll probably have some questions at the end. Some areas have home pickups, not all areas. I'll tell you, we do, and that is our best source of big ticket donations. We schedule 6 days a week. We probably do 10 to 15 pickups a day, depending on how large they are. We also have to work into the donation cycle, our church pickups. We also do food pantry pickups. So if you don't have anything else to do, you can be able to schedule more pickups. But scheduling home pickups, it's twofold. You know, you've got to also be able to schedule the donation. The person answering the phone also needs to be very good at accepting or turning down a donation. You should have a list of qualified items that you take, those that you don't take. Also, as I said before, your drivers are your ambassadors. They can make or break you. Make sure that the people that you have on the truck are courteous, again, capable of physically doing the donations, and they work as a team. Next thing is donation bins. That's a big topic. I'm gonna tell you the small side of it. I do have church donation bins. We do put ours at churches. But again, I put them at churches because it's easier. It's a great way to develop a relationship with the parish. Plus, I can't afford to pay rent to put them anywhere else on a public property. Plus, also, whenever you put a donation bin out, you have to be able to maintain it. There's nothing worse than putting a bin out and forgetting about it, or having the church have to call you on a regular basis saying, could you come by and clean this up? Because the fourth or fifth time they do that, they're going to say, could you come by and clean this up and pick up your bin? It is a very, very profitable source for us for donations. These aren't my boxes, but our boxes are signed with our logo, our address, making sure that people know for large items they can call our store number and schedule a pickup. We try to suggest that it's just items that'll fit in the box, but as anybody knows that has drop boxes, you get lots of stuff that doesn't fit in the box. Or you get somebody that drops off, the boxes are empty, you get somebody that drops off, their stuff won't fit in the box, so they pile it outside. The next 27 people that come by think the boxes are full, so all of a sudden everything's piled outside. So make sure you keep up with the appearance of those boxes. I'm going to hand it over to Chris. Chris has a couple things to say about donation bins too.
Absolutely go after the churches. The churches form the base of, if you're going to do this, of what you'll do, because generally they're a lot more forgiving than the locations that are not on church property. And they won't be in, nobody else will be able to drop a box next to them, so it gives you an idea of what you're gonna get, especially if you're doing some kind of feasibility study or some kind of thing when you're trying to figure out how many donations you have to be able to sustain a store, because sustainability is something that really wasn't discussed, but it's just as important as anything else. You should have your 501c3 number on it, and if a state has something like a certificate for solicitation from the Attorney General's office, a lot of times we can get it, and something like Planet Aid can't. And it's basically a good housekeeping seal for the charitable industry that states that this is a good charity, because you can be a nonprofit and have very little of your money go to the charity that's involved, or go to the cause, although they can't, the federal government doesn't necessarily regulate that the same way that the states do. The states will come out and say, this certificate is for the ones that we feel do over a certain amount, or they're measured. And it's not that way with every state, but some states have, and Massachusetts does. We're fortunate with that because it is a control. Beyond that, I will tell you that having done it for a long, long time, it is an adventure. Be prepared for the trash, and be prepared for, somebody throwing something in there that they weren't supposed to throw in there. If you're not prepared to service them, don't even think about a box system, because it has a significant startup cost to it that you have to assume before you get the boxes out. So, but it is a very good thing to do, but again, regionally, it can be very different in how much you get and the quality. So it's something to consider and to measure before you go into it on a wholesale basis.
Just so you know, that second picture is the picture of a box that you don't want to have. Again, if you neglect them, wherever you have them, they're going to come ask you to remove them. Another way to collect donations is Stuff the Truck, or some people call them Bundle Sundays. Those were successful at a number of different places. First of all are the parishes, especially if you have a conference that's very active at a parish. They can do most of the work for you. You drop off the truck on Saturday. The conferences are there to man the truck, help people unload, load up donations, distribute donation receipts. Something that we've found that's been very successful is Catholic schools will have a drive, especially when it's holiday season, or when they're concentrating a lot on community service or social programs. Again, we drop the truck off and they do most of the work. Youth groups at parishes are also a good source. There's also times whenever you don't have them at the parish. We've done them in Austin. We have a big Google building downtown, and they've worked with us in the past. Again, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but a lot of big corporations are encouraging their staff to have either team building exercises or, again, social justice awareness, that sort of thing. So any opportunity you have to get your truck in the face of people that may not know who you are or what you do, it's a very positive experience. And they usually have a lot of good stuff. So it's a good thing. College move out. This is something that we've done in the past. We have St. Andrews University in Austin, and it's sometimes as simple as dropping off 5 or 6 bins, strategic locations over the campus. This year, we allowed the person in charge of move out to determine where we were. We won't do that again, because we became a dumpster service. Luckily, we were able to told them, you're gonna have to clean up all the mess, we'll take all the good stuff. The donation bins pretty much stayed empty, everybody just piled everything around them. But this year, again, we also, for the first time, City of Austin claims to be very green. They're just now getting into they like to claim they are, they're just really putting their money where their mouth is right now. A pilot program, reuse, move out, reuse. So we worked with the city and some other nonprofit, Goodwill was there, Salvation Army. They had 4 different collection stations on West Campus. So they also worked with 2 different waste management and another disposal company that took care of all the trash. You'd be surprised. Students don't keep anything when they move. A lot of you may have, seen the dumpsters when you go by a college apartment complex, and there is a lot of trash, but there's a heck of a lot of good stuff. So we filled up a truck and 10 Gaylords. We're the little kids on the block. Goodwill had much more than that. So it was a learning experience for us. We'll definitely participate in the future, but anytime you hear about something like that in your city, take advantage of it. Anything that the city sponsors as far as keeping stuff out of the landfill, they've got the resources to plan it and coordinate it, and if you can tag along, it's great. Retail store partnerships. This has been very successful for me. Buffalo Exchange in Austin is a big deal. It's right by campus, so they're in a great location. They give the opportunity to people that are coming in to sell merchandise to them. If it's something that they don't want, the seller or the donor has the opportunity to donate it to a nonprofit. Buffalo has 16 nonprofit pickup opportunities. We get 5 of them. So they've assigned us 5 different times. We probably pick up about between 800 and 1,000 pounds a week. And let me tell you, you take the good with the bad, but the ratio is much more good than it is bad. Because it may be great stuff, it's just Buffalo has too many of that particular item, so they're not buying it. And that student doesn't want to take it back home. I say student, most of them are students, but everybody goes there to sell. In fact, it's funny, we've gotten stuff from our store back. People come to my store to buy, and then take it to Buffalo to try to sell. And I'm sure they buy some of it, but it's just funny when you see our tags come back. It's like, it's recycling a whole new name. So Buffalo Exchange, Plato's Closet, there's a lot of different consignment or resale shops out there now. It's kind of a growing trend. So be sure and look those up and become their best friend, because I think they all do that. I think they all work with nonprofits. So that's a good opportunity for donations. Private corporation, we collaborate with, like I said, Google is a big drive. We have a lot of big industry, a lot of high tech in Austin. Everybody has their own, every city has their own big companies. Again, like I said before, there's a big push for social awareness in their employees. During the holidays, everybody's looking, not everybody wants to adopt a family, but they want to feel good. We take barrels, we take Gaylord boxes, they supply boxes a lot of times. We not only rake on clothing, but we also collect. We have a food pantry associated with us, and we provide essential health and hygiene items. We call them EH2s. Lots and lots of opportunity for collection for those as well, because we don't have to buy them then. Baby stuff, clothing, food. So again, an opportunity for collection. We're just trying to think of ways to make sure you access all the ways you can to collect donations. And that's really it. I think Chris has some wrap-up comments about everything.
One of the things that wasn't said at the beginning is that unlike monetary donations, clothing donations are primarily a donation of convenience. People generally, what we find in Boston area, is that they don't care where they donate it to, as long as they get it out of their car, period. We've seen this at a number of sites. Now, these numbers I'm going to throw out at you are only for, we have the ability to do this because we have 273 Catholic churches, down from over 400 8 years ago, along with the collaboration with Mass Highway, which allows us to put it at a rest area. Now, somebody will look at me and say, why the heck would you ever put a clothing bin at a rest area? And I can tell you, without exaggeration, that we have one site at one of our rest areas that does over £500,000 a year. It's easy. They go in, they go out. But we have to be there 7 days a week, and during certain times of the year, we have to be there twice. It's the price of it. And for a while, it gave me some ideas about different ways of tapping into a market of clothing that people may not know even exists. And that is that about 15 years ago, when I was doing my MBA, I did a paper on recycling. And at that time, 18 years ago, they had a statistic that said only about 10% of the clothing that people have, the used textile industry, actually winds up in a thrift store or in a bin or somewhere where it's recycled. So 90% of it wound up at a landfill. That was a big number. That number has dropped, but it's still in the high, it's just right around 80% because they're working on it. So with all this green and everything, you would think it would be better than, it's not. There's still there's a lot of stuff going to these landfills. It's a double-edged sword because if you release it into the market, it's gonna drop the price. But for the green people, I guess that's a good thing that it's out of there. But for us, it's a matter of tapping into it and getting people that do in that donation stream to donate to us instead of Salvation Army or Goodwill. In our area, we compete against a number of places that will, in some cases, pay for boxes. I had 17 Walmarts at one point. I lost them all because they went in and said, we'll give you $5 grand a year or 10 grand a year to have that site. We weren't prepared to do that. Looking back on it, should we have? Yes, but the board wasn't prepared to do that because when you start paying for a site and you have 160 bins at church property, you better be prepared for somebody to say, how come you're paying them and not us? It becomes there's this thing. So I had an idea. So what's most important to anybody in this room? Somebody tell me, what's the most important thing to you in this room? Rod?
As far as stores, though.
No, not as far as stores, in
My
general.
family.
So family is first. Anybody else?
God.
God. Okay, so I had this idea. Give one donation. It's like an acronym, God, right? But I probably would have got in trouble for trying to do that. So I thought about it in a different way. I said, okay, how many people believe that God sees all? Those of you who believe in God that are here.
We've been sentient.
You
That's
are
a
correct.
What does that have to do with
Yeah,
anything?
because we all believe in God.
Oh,
Why
okay,
do you
okay.
think we go out? That's the mission.
Okay, I got you. Okay, she's right. She's
Move
right.
on.
Okay, so everybody believes that. Does everybody believes God's all seeing, all knowing? Okay. That having been said, the society was founded on spiritual growth. I mean, we're talking stores right now, but for those of us who also deal with the other side of things, the society is a spiritual organization. It's founded on the spiritual growth of its membership, based in its what used to be the mission, but still in there. Okay. So does everybody agree with that? Okay. Does God know that?
Yes.
Yes, he does. Okay, so, does God know that this organization helps anyone with anything, regardless of their situation?
Amen.
Does he know that? He
Amen.
does. Does God know that organizationally we provide service to more people per dollar than any other organization that does what we do?
Yes.
He does. See where I'm going with this? So, think out of the box and use something to get people to donate to us. If God sees all, how about a campaign like God Knows? On every clothing box, donate to the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, because God knows we need it. Thank you.